Hello, welcome to the Cars and Cancer podcast. I'm just having a look. I think it's episode 13, gents. Does that sound about right? Yeah.
It does, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Really, it's been a couple of weeks. Just trying to get together. I know, Andy, you had a family event to go to, and I had stuff with my stepmom passing away and things like that. So we're catching up, and we're a little bit rusty, but I'm sure we'll be fine. I suppose I should say at this point, this is where I'm joined by Andy and Darren. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening,
Hi,
Good evening. Excellent. So we're all here. That is good. Yeah, and we'll just go off in the usual format. We'll start talking about stuff, and we'll get an update from Andy, and there's a bit that Darren wants to do in the call. But yeah, we were out this weekend, weren't we?
We were, yeah.
A great day.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? We for people who don't listen or haven't heard before, we went to the Stoneleigh. It was a car show at Stoneleigh, wasn't it? I think it was called Race Retro.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was predominantly sort of rally cars. I think there was some touring cars there, and some track cars, and it was right up my street. Really, it was car porn for me, really, because seeing all those 80s and 90s rally cars just being thrown around the track, and that smell of burnt rubber, and over fueling, and that burbling noise. It was just, I was just in my element. I could have stayed there for hours. Really, I was just really made up. I was. And
do you know what got me about the auction aid was Silverstone auctions, those ridiculously priced Fords.
Oh yes, that's right, didn't we? Because
all over social media.
Yeah, because we went and had a look at the cars, didn't we? And then I think was it you, Darren? You said that there was an indoor area. So we went and had a bit of a gander, and there's the usual auto jumble and all that sort of stuff, and different stalls selling things. And then we went into the auction hall. Well, yeah, we kind of went into the auction hall, didn't we? Go on, Andy, you can tell them.
Yeah, there was I think it was a Sapphire Ford Cosworth.
Yeah,
£109,000.
I think that's just an insane amount of money for a Sierra, isn't it?
I mean, it's only done 5,000, but yeah, I mean that's a ridiculous amount of pennies for a Cosworth. I think it's definitely going to change the ownerships of them now. To young people used to see driving around with them to like people with too much money now.
Yeah. It was the, I don't know if chav is the right word, but it was like the sort of it was the ultimate sort of boy racer car, wasn't it? Really, it was the you're either in the Novas and the 205 GTIs.
That was like
and
that kind of thing, wasn't it? From the hot hatches.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. Yeah.
If you got a Cosworth, you were the bee's knees. Really, you were kind of like top of the tree. And
I think the Cosworth kind of took over from. It was its time. It was like the modern era was when the Capri was out, weren't it? When they had the Capri, then they bought the 3 litre Capri out in the 70s and that, and it was like, you had to have a Capri to go out on the pond and stuff like this, and you're going out on the weekend. Yeah. And I think the Cosworth just took over, didn't it? Really, in the 80s and the early 90s,
Yeah. I might be being biased because I'm more of a Ford man, but I think Ford were probably the more sort of prominent when it came to the sort of the hot hatches and the hot sports cars. I could be wrong because you got the people with the VWs and that kind of thing. They'll probably say they got the Golfs and all that kind of thing. But I always thought that the Ford was like the king of the sort of the boy racer kind of.
Yeah. They was ahead in styling on most other cars, weren't they? Really.
Yeah. I think so, and I think that's probably where my love of sort of a lot of 80s and 90s cars has come from, was that you could take a standard Escort and you could take a standard Fiesta, but you could put a body kit on it, put some wheels, tart up the interior and put a fancy engine in it, and it was like, wow, I've got something here, really. But it was probably wasn't that much quicker than a standard model, but it was just like, wow. And then Ford would go and chuck a turbo on it, and then they put some 4-wheel drive in, and you're just like, that was just. That was
they just looked the part, didn't they? In the day, that was.
But there was. I imagine there's a lot of sort of stereotyping about the sort of people that drove them, really, and it was like I think it was like a sort of a working person's kind of sports car, if you like.
Yeah. See, I think of them like a fast rep vehicle.
Yeah.
Cosworth, so yeah. They had rep cars, but these were like fast ones.
Yeah, and it probably helped that they did rallying in them, didn't they? And there was the touring cars as well. And I think for me, I like that sort of era because I could relate to the car because a neighbour down the road would have one of those, or my dad had one of those, and then you'd see it on a racetrack, and it was just like, wow, I can relate to that car. Whereas if I look at a Formula One car, I struggle to relate to it, and I can't quite get into it in the same way, really. But But yeah, 109,000. And then there was the other one, wasn't there? Was it the RS 500?
Yeah.
Didn't that go just short of 600 grand or something?
Yeah. 560 something it went for. Which is that's record breaking, that is.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. They've said they haven't had any that have reached that much.
No.
But what's going to happen to that car now? I mean, it's never going to see the road, is it?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. It'd be in a heated garage somewhere, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be stuck in a bubble somewhere for another 5 years, and then they'll try it again and see what happens. But I don't know. I think the bubble's got to burst somewhere, hasn't it? Surely.
Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, what's your thoughts on sort of cars and preserving them in that way? I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Or
I think if you've got something where there was a car, it's gone through it's been its everyday car, and it's moved on and it's been handed down from people to people in generations, and then you get someone that's had something for a very long time and it's no longer really practical to have it out on the road anymore, and they end up going to a museum where everybody can see them, then I get that, because there might only be one or two left in the world, so you don't really want to be sort of nipping down your local supermarket and you're driving it every now and again. It's probably, I think it's good in a way to let everybody see them really in the museum. It sort of keeps the heritage there, don't it, of some really rare models. But it's the price thing that gets me. When you can go back, you just go back sort of 20 years ago, and you would have picked them up for peanuts.
Yeah.
No one was interested. And when they was in their peak as like an everyday selling car, the people that had the type of money that would have then been buying the E-Types and Aston Martin, the top end, the Ferraris, they would have turned their nose off one of them and said, "Oh, look at this little chap coming around here in his silly little Ford."
Yeah.
And looked at him, under the nose as they pulled up at the traffic lights. Now they would give anything to get one. And I think it's just about sticking your money in that car, bang it away for a few years in a little heated bubble, fetch it out, see if you can make another 100 grand on it.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to go, I think, with them. And then the people that really love them cars and have made them what they are today, have got no chance of ever owning one again.
No.
They've just been turned into like a money-making commodity, aren't they? It's a shame.
Didn't you mention about the E-Type Jags went up in price like that a few years ago?
They went absolutely ridiculous, but there was some, I don't know, it was a company, I don't know the full story really, I was told it by a local body shop, that someone was actually done for fraud and over millions with that all around, because it was, the prices of them had been hiked up in such a way, they said it was actually breaking the law. It's almost like that pyramid building scam they had years ago of making money where, people never really got anything, and it was, they bumped the price up just to get the money there, but that wasn't really the value of the cars. And I think now it's going where they've started to come back. They have come down.
So how does that work then, Darren? How I'll probably sound quite naive, but how do you bump the price up? I mean, do you pretend that you've sold it for a higher price than what it is?
Yeah, that's basically what this chap. I don't know the full ins and outs of the story.
Yeah.
I can always get him for a later chat about him.
Oh, that's homework for you. Shall I make a note?
I don't even know the chap's name, but I was told it from one of the guys at Midland Paintworks at Stone. And they were saying about them, so it was just absolutely scandalous. That I think that's basically what they was doing. They was selling cars at massive inflated prices that weren't really being sold.
Right.
If that makes sense. That's how it was made to look. So people go, "Oh, look at the price of them. They're really going up, these are." And it was something they kept doing. and then they'd sell something to somebody then because they thought the prices were really going through the roof, and it was a scam. And they wasn't really all selling for 220 and 250,000 pounds. And people start, you look in Auto Trader anywhere, classic, papers, and it was like, gosh, look at this one, 180,000, 190,000. Really, the proper price was probably more like 120,000.
Yeah.
And this is why they got done, because so many cars were put out there as if they'd been sold, and they hadn't. It was just a scam. And this is what they got done for. They reckon they was doing people out with an absolute fortune. And then they get in touch with people, say, right, I found a brilliant car here. It's this, and this. And it's identical to one that's just sold for £200,000. I can get this for 180, and all this type of thing was going on.
Mm.
So it was just a complete scam, really, that pushed them up.
So
and it's a shame.
Yeah. So for that one to get 109,000, so it's completely original then, isn't it? So it's just been a trailer queen, and it's just been looked after and preserved and whatever. So I just wonder if somebody had a knackered Cosworth sitting in a garage. I mean, I don't know what they're worth as they are. I don't know. They're probably worth about 15 grand as just needs loads of work doing. But I suppose you could take it somewhere and spend 30, 40 grand, whatever, get it done as a minter, and then you could probably make 10 grand easy on it. So I wonder if that's what it is these days. It's people are just cottoned onto the fact that everything else is pretty much worthless. So chuck your money into a car. I know a lot of people say that that's your pension now if you can get yourself a classic car. And, and look
you just
after
drop
it.
on the right one, don't you? Because you're certainly going to earn more money from a good classic car, even with hard times that we've been going through, like recently and what have you, and than what you'd ever earn by sticking money in a cash ISA or any kind of good investment. The biggest investments, some cars have gone up by 18-20% in 12 months. So where could you get that in return if you've got that much that sort of money?
Yeah, well, you can get any sort of interest in a savings account at the moment.
Yeah, so you can see why they're doing it.
Okay, then, gents, I'm going to put you on the spot then. So we've done no homework with this. No. So if you've got, what car do you think could be a future classic in the future? Obviously in the future. Which sort of car do you think? If I had a couple of quid and I had somewhere where I could store a few. What sort of car do you think might become a classic, or what people might start fighting over?
I'd say a Fiesta ST.
Okay.
If you bought a new one of those and hid it away for 20 years, I reckon because they're going to stop making those, aren't they now?
Oh yeah, the Fiesta's been killed off, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I imagine they'll be worth some pennies in the future.
And do you know what, Andy?
Probably a good shout. Probably a good shout for me, Andrew.
Because it's that kind of car that is mostly going to attract a boy racer or a girl racer or whatever. It's going to attract somebody who likes to have a bit of fun with it, give it some stick, but it's not going to be likely to be somebody's dream car, because then they'll probably move on to something else, won't they? So it'll then come into the used car market, and then it'll whittle its way down, and its condition will drop and stuff. And so I think you might be onto a good one there, Andy.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Got a thought?
I think. Gosh, on the spot for that one, out of modern stuff.
It doesn't.
It's a strange time because you can't go and buy a battery-powered car. You won't be able to store a battery-powered car for 30 years because you'd have to change the batteries on them and things would just go wrong on them. So there'd be no point buying an electric car to store it. It's never going to be worth any money in the future. So it is a funny time to be. Well, it's a good time to buy in classics because they'll make money. What if you buy a good model car? It'll make money in 10 years. You've just got to be able to look after it somewhere, or just hide it away and then redo it when it comes back out. Stick it in a bubble.
I was thinking. Sorry, I was thinking the something like a Ford Puma.
Yeah.
Quite an unusual shaped car.
Yeah. They're getting rare. You can't find them everywhere now, do you?
And they're susceptible to the rust, just like most Fords, that sort of time, and the arches go and all that kind of thing. And it's quite a distinctive looking car. It's got that kind of sort of sort of like Fiat Coupe kind of feel to it. It looks radically different to a lot of other cars in the range. And but from what I hear, the Puma is like a really, really good driver's car. Really, really, it handles really, really well. And
remind me a bit of the Vauxhall Tigras.
Yes.
That kind of shape.
Yeah, so that rounded front and then the sort of like a shot, sort of sloped back kind of thing.
Mm.
But I think that would be mine, or maybe something like, I think something that even something that's common, that can sort of just be something that's unloved, and then it's all of a sudden it just disappears off the roads. I mean, look at Novas. I mean, look at your Nova, Andy. When we were younger, they were frigging everywhere, weren't they? Everybody had a Nova, or everybody knew someone who had a Nova.
Yeah.
And now you just don't see them. They've either gone or they're being preserved in garages and well looked after like yours.
Yeah.
So it can be something. Just I've got a 1.3 Nova SR, which was common as muck, and now
everyone spanked one of those when they were younger, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I never touched it. I did have a Nova, but I got rid of it after a week. But there you go.
You got it after a week.
Yeah, I did. Any thoughts then, Darren? Any wise wisdom?
Any wise wisdom?
Yeah.
Two cars I've noticed that have started creeping up, which have always sort of sat back and kind of been overlooked. One of them is an old car. It's the Triumph Stag.
Yeah.
And it was always like, oh yeah, it's a Triumph Stag. No one kind of took any real kind of notice. And up to just in the last 5 years, there was probably going $5,000 for a nice one.
Yeah.
Well, you look at them now that they're saying now that a good one, which could be Concours, could be up to $30,000.
Okay.
And anyway, so they've leapt up in just this last sort of 2 or 3 years, I reckon. There's people suddenly clocking onto them as like, this is one of the old sort of I mean, they had like all sorts of electric gadgets in that no other cars had in their day. They was way ahead of their time, but they just seem to have a really bad name. And the other ones are the Rover 800 models.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like the big old Rovers. Yeah, the Vitesse is a gorgeous looking car.
You get a really nice 800 fastback, or the Vitesse, or the very early Rover 800s, the Mark 1's what they brought out. They've actually started it in sort of £7,000 and £8,000 for some nice ones. And if you have a look at what dealers are selling it for, you're very rarely at this moment, and this is only in the last 12 months, find a dealer that will sell one, especially if he's got one back from Japan that's been imported back in, and they're all kind of sitting around the £6,000 to £8,500 mark.
Is that like the Rover Sterling then? That kind of
It started off with the Rover 800, and it was like the Rover 820, the 825, the Rover Sterling, they had the 2.27, loads of different models in them. But the very early ones, the first ones they made, are becoming very rare. Okay. So it's the very early ones, or the last ones, as it normally happens in any models. But the price has really jumped up. SD1 Rover Mark 1, one of them was just sold at an auction for just under £16,000.
Okay. Yeah. So what sort of condition is that in then?
Very good condition, and it was a yellow one, which is a bit of a sort of a typical colour for its time when they was making them. Lots of strange yellows and horrible browns and things, that was out. But you try and find one in that colour now, and it suddenly gone through an auction, and it hit nearly £16,000.
So you've got a car that hits £16,000 that's in really good condition. If you've got not a very good one, it's probably about 5 or 6, I imagine. But
I mean, they're going up there as complete restoration things and absolute sort of bargain basement things, but they're still coming out, and they're still selling for £2,000 or £3,000. And you look at them and you think, well, what are you actually going to do with that?
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is if you go and buy one for, like you say, less than £5,000, it's going to need probably 20, 30 grand spending on it to get it to that sort of condition. But then you can only get 16 grand for it. So that's probably what kills the market, I suppose, isn't it? People think, oh, I'm not going to do that because it's just dead money.
Yeah.
But I suppose at the same time,
nice ones at the minute are selling better than people looking for something. Oh, that would be a good car to get to restore. Yeah. Anything like that, I think people are just snapping them up. don't mind paying a little bit more for them, and they're getting any good bits they can from them, and just doing away with the rest of it, which is pushing the price up for the really nice ones even more.
Because there's less on the road, and then the people who have got nice ones, they want the parts.
Less price for them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's quite a few at the minute. A lot of the ones that have been overlooked when everything was going through this massive hike that classics were doing up to just before sort of lockdowns and COVID. It was really on high, everything seemed to be, but it was all the big stuff. Now, if you read up on any auction sites that are coming out, they're all saying that the biggest sellers are up to £20,000.
Gotcha.
So prices have dropped overall, but there's a lot more money being spent.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for the likes of us, which are working people that can think, oh, I've got something there, I could sell that now and have a change and still buy something nice without being priced out by investors, which is what's really, it's killing it. All the 80s hot hatches are being taken out of our hands really by people with like massive bank accounts that aren't even interested in buying them, don't see it as their love of a car, it's an investment. It's a shame really.
Wow, that was a good little topic to talk about, wasn't it? Well, that's past 21 minutes. Wow.
I don't even want to mention the 560 something one because that was unreal.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah.
I can't get me head on that, mate.
£500,000 plus £60,000 on top.
For a Sierra.
For a Sierra, yeah, which is... it's unreal.
But I suppose...
If you said that to anybody, they'd laugh at you, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just would. They'd be going, don't talk so stupid. As if one of them never going to fetch that much.
But it's not even. It's not even been driven by Princess Diana or the Queen or anything like that, as far as I'm aware.
No,
so
it didn't say a big write-up about below the provenance of the car that it's got anything really special, or it's it's just turned up with not many miles on the clock, and there's somebody obviously with a lot more money and sense has just decided to pay what I think over the odds for it, personally.
Yeah.
If I had that sort of money, there's no way I'll spend £500,000 on a Sierra.
I don't think I would, Darren.
I wouldn't, mate. I really wouldn't. No.
I wouldn't.
So we're not going to be honorary members to the Ford Sierra Owners Club then?
Definitely not.
Okay. All right.
No.
Just before I got married, I went to look at a Sapphire, not the one with the whale tail, the other one, the £109,000 one. And he was letting me out for less than £4,000. And I was like, that's still a bit much for this car. And I didn't buy it. I come away from it and I bought myself a BMW. But I don't. If I'd bought that, I probably would have made plenty of pennies. Wouldn't be sitting here talking to you chaps, would I?
Oh, it's like that, is it? Oh, yeah, money goes to your head, Andy. Yeah, is that how it works?
Yeah. If it was 500,000, yeah.
Right. Okay, it's like that then. Fair enough. How are you mates up?
Oh, well, let's know where we stand now, Wade.
Yep, absolutely. We'll stick with our little Mondeo and our Rovers, and he can swan off in the sun setting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't buy it though, did I? I'd have bought a BMW. It's probably worth less than $4,000 now.
If I had the Morris Hotel, I think I'd just drive straight into the back of him.
Oh, that would be cruel on the Ital, really, wouldn't it?
No, I put a big bull bar in the front of it first.
Yeah. I don't think your 1.3 engine would be able to shift it very far, but there you go.
No, that's the point, mate. No, that might not be such a wise move.
No,
scrap that one.
Yeah, okay. Back to the drawing board.
The idea that it's not the Morris Hotel.
No, we'll leave the Morris alone. So, Andy, you were able to give us a bit of an update? I'm trying to remember where we were 2 weeks ago with your treatment. Were you done? Were you doing it? I can't bloody remember. Where were we?
2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think I was coming to the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, you were having your scan. Was that right? Were you booked in for a scan?
Yeah. Yep. So this Friday I went for my MRI scan. But I had to go an hour before to have the what they call skin guidance, so that where they could find your veins with ultrasound. Then they can put the dye in.
Hey?
So I have to go now.
Find it with ultrasound? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, when you've had as many needles as you've had in my arm, Aid, the veins, they tend to give up.
Yeah.
So they can't find them in the MRI scan. I went It was on the Queen's funeral day, and I went to have it done, and they couldn't find it. So they booked me in for this skin guidance. The second time I've been there, the skin guidance, and they see where your veins are, and they stick a needle in, and then away you go. So I went and had my scan an hour after that. So you have to walk around your arm like that without moving your arm. It's a weird thing. Then you got to go into your scan and put your gown on and that kind of stuff without moving your arm. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to have done. So I went for my scan. She did the scan and come home, and that's it. I think I'm booked in for the 15th of... What are we in now?
First today, isn't it? No, it's 28th today, isn't it?
March, isn't it?
Yeah, the 15th, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
And what's that?
That's
is that for the results?
Yeah, face-to-face for the results, and I'll go on the Monday and have my blood, so I'll be able to see if they give me chemo for that week.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, Mum rung up on Monday, and because it was only a phone call and we wanted a face-to-face, so they agreed a face-to-face would be better, so they've changed it to a face-to-face now.
Yeah, it should be as well, I think, for something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like you're throwing
like there's loads of different questions.
I've got a rash on my bloody arm or something, is it? I mean, it's...
No, there's different questions my mum wants to ask and Kelly wants to ask, and me too. So I'd rather do that than them just ring up and all have to have time off work, and because they don't ring up when they're supposed to ring up, they ring up like 2 or 3 hours after. So stuff like that, but it should be good. Should be good news. I'm hoping for good news this time.
Well, I was thinking that, Andy. I was thinking if they were planning to have a phone call, it's a little bit less personal, a phone call, isn't it? Rather than being face to face. I think if you were going to give someone some unfortunate news or something that's not gone quite well, you would really want to speak to them in person, wouldn't you? So the phone.
Yeah, I think you would.
I mean, it could just be me reading into it, but I'd just be thinking, oh, okay, it might be just to say, yeah, we looked at your scan. It's going as we think. You've still got a long way to go with your chemo, but based on the scan, we're going to keep your treatment the same, or we're going to change it slightly. I'm just speculating. I'm no expert.
No, that's what I think, Aid. Yeah.
And you could do with a bit of good news, really, mate, couldn't you? Let's be honest.
I could do, yeah. Well, we all me and my family could, and you and people who know me.
Yeah, and because they're going through it, aren't they? They're helpless. They want you to get better, and they want all this good news, and they're just totally dependent on this result. Really, aren't they? And so I remember when I was having results, and I'm sure you were the same, Darren. It's a very, very nervy time, and it was quite strange when you'd go for a scan or something like that, and they'd say, "Oh, good luck," and you're like, "I'm only having the scan. I'm not getting the results today, but I'm just having a photo taken." But that anticipation of that moment when you sit down and you talk about it, and then they say, oh, actually, it's going quite well. We're going to crack on with this, and you're like, oh, thank God. And it's just like, yeah. And I you need that really, mate. And it's easy for us to say, but when we saw you at the weekend, you look really well. And
yeah, thank you.
I mean, people would look at you and they wouldn't think that you'd got the illness that you'd got. To be honest, you walked with us the whole time. You weren't flagging. You didn't sort of say, I need to stop and have a breather and that kind of stuff. You're doing really, really well, and I just hope that reflects in your results on your treatment, really.
Yeah, I do as well, Thanks for that. It means a lot.
That's all right. That's okay. Yeah. I'll slag you off for the rest of the podcast now. So the 15th then. So I've got that down for the 15th. So hopefully we'll have some news then. I mean, obviously we'll be in touch with you beforehand, and we'll see where we go from there. But we were at the show and we were having a bit of a chinwag, and you came up with an idea, didn't you, Darren? You want to share it with the rest of the class?
I did, mate. Yeah, I don't have many.
Shall I get the light bulb sound effect?
I thought before you did, eh?
Yeah. Go on then. What was your idea then, Darren? Share it with the class.
Right, what I was going to suggest was I should dig out a little bit of information because they does so much work on this podcast anyway.
But apparently that's what the IT guy does, isn't it? Yeah, is that right?
This is it, mate. Yeah. But we're trying to take a little bit of pressure off you because I know you're getting, obviously with age and that, all these things do take their toll. So. Yeah, so I just thought, because I do quite a lot of reading and I have magazines and things, and quite often seeing different things come up, that not everybody has the same kind of magazine. And I just thought if I could just pick out a topic once a week, or if it's interesting, I'll get a couple of them, and just sort of, if they're only small ones, whatever they're going to be, and just have a little chat about them and see what you guys think, and anyone else that might be listening, if they've got any views on them, things that you find. 1 week it could be something very tiny and minor, and other week it could be quite a big thing that might affect all of us as far as driving classics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to keep my eye out, anything what I can see throughout the week, and hopefully find something to share with everybody, really.
Okay. So have you got a topic today? Have you got something there that we could talk about?
I have actually. I have got a topic. I've got two actually.
Okay.
It's on things that I've seen. One of them is, it's actually coming from the government because they keep on about MOT exemption.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a grey area, really. I think most people agree. A lot of people think it's absolutely brilliant because I don't have to tax it, I don't have to MOT it, and I'm like, where does that leave everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
If something was to go wrong, that's okay, I think. It's if the person can do quite a bit to the car, or they are prepared to take it to a garage and just have it sort of checked, not look at it with, say, like a 30-year-old set of tyres on it, look absolutely mint, because they're nice and black and there's tread on, so it don't go nowhere. And we find out all the insides are perished and the outer tyre is probably half separated from the inner moulded part of the tyre, and stuff like that, because they're things that you can't really see. I was just wondering, really, what you guys' thoughts are on it, because at the moment it's 40 years. They was on about reducing it, and I can see why they're changing MOTs, because they are actually thinking of going to a 2-year MOT, and I think as more electric comes in, they will do that because you haven't got the sort of mechanical complexity of what you've got in an electric vehicle. And this is probably why Ford have already laying off a load of people, because they don't need so many people to make electric cars.
Right.
So they're becoming easier and simpler to make, and I think reliability has been getting better and better. Even if you go back just to the 80s, it's improved so much on the car and how long they will last. And now people tend to sort of chuck them away simply because they want to get a newer version of it, a bit like a mobile phone, not because there's that much wrong with it.
So what's the proposal then, Darren? What's the rule change? What are they saying then?
Well, the rule change is that they're on about, I think what's brought a lot of this to light is the fact that when they brought this out and they was discussing it, they was on about reducing it, to 30 years, and there's a lot of people say that it isn't a good idea. If I just give you a figure of classics that have been MOT'd, in 2017, there was 221,860 classic cars went for an annual MOT.
Okay.
By 2021, that figure had dropped to 63,629.
Okay, so what determines a classic car then?
A classic car, that's another grey area. That's the topic on its own, that is. Some people are saying this is a classic car because it was the first new Mini, as we call them, made by BMW that was made, because that's what it seems they are getting older. And people say, that's not a classic car.
No.
This is a classic car because it was made in 1960. I mean, there's such a big, what we call a classic car.
Yes.
It covers such a wide area, doesn't it, really? If you say everything's got to be sort of as old as your granddad to be a classic car, then we're not going to get hot ashes in the 80s. Would still be years away.
Because I got home and researched mine. Mine's 31 years old now.
Yeah.
And that's like 30 years.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a classic car.
No. But yet, when you think most production runs only run for 10 years,
yeah,
that's probably, it's 20 years post-production, isn't it, really?
So,
yeah. How old's your Mondeo,
Really, because I still think that MO cars, whether you have to or not, you find that most responsible people that have got a car will still take it for an annual MOT.
Yeah, just to check it over.
But I think the more advanced and the more electrification comes in, more garages are not going to have the staff or the experience to know what to check properly on an old car.
Okay. Yeah. So my Mondeo is a 2000. So what's that? 23 years old. Now, when I was younger and when I was a teenager, the MGB was a classic car. And the MGB is a classic car now. But surely 30 years ago, the MGB... what I'm trying to say is because you're saying, Andy, yours is 30 odd years old. Surely when I was a teenager, the MGB was probably about 20, 30 years old. So yours probably is a classic car, but you probably don't consider it a classic car because it doesn't have chrome wheels, it doesn't have a chrome bumper, it doesn't have what you would associate as what a classic car would be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Age. Yeah,
I know what you mean. It does feel rather odd to say a Vauxhall Nova is a classic car because I don't know. It was just a mass-produced vehicle and widely used and whatever. But I think you've probably got. I'd probably be saying anything that's sort of pre-2000 is probably classed as a classic these days. I would go with that, and that's where you say, Darren, with the Mini probably falling into that as well. So what they're saying then, so any car that's 30 up to 30 is more than.
Well, it's 40 at the moment. It stays at 40. Your car's got to be 40 years of age to become MOT exempt. But I find that's a bit of a strange thing because surely the older something gets, the more unreliable it could get, or the harder it might be to maintain it properly because you're losing the kind of the mechanical skills of people to check everything properly. I don't know what everyone else thinks. It may be a topic people might want to sort of get in touch with or have a think about and even just send us a message online just as what they think. But I think there should be any vehicle that is classed as a classic car that you should be able to take it for the classic MOT.
Yeah. So they need to come up with a year of how old the car needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't judge like my Jag, you can't judge that was 1988. You can't judge that against a car that's having like its first MOT that's 4 years old. Because everything on it is going to be so much tighter and firmer and the steering's better. A good mechanic will allow for a bit of play in different things because that's how there was in them days. You're never going to get that any better than what it is if you change it and put new parts on.
Yeah, so...
And I think this is, it's a really funny one, really. I just wonder what other people's views might be. If anyone, was good, good enough to sort of join in and just drop us a message online and just say, I don't think they should be MOT'd, or I think they should.
I think so too. And just looking at those figures that you were saying, so the 220,000 to 63,000 in 4 years. Well, I look at that and I think, well, that's the government trying to drive out old cars. So they're making the MOTs more stricter, so they get all the cars that they don't want on the road, so people scrap them, and they have to buy newer cars or they have to buy electric cars, and that kind of thing. So I can kind of see where they're going there. I mean, I don't agree with it, but because we like cars and stuff, but I can see what they're doing. And then they're probably thinking, okay, so we're wiping out most of the crap now. So what's left are the classics that people have held on to, probably locked in garages, being looked after. I mean, do we really want to be messing about with MOTs with those? Do we just want to leave them alone kind of thing? And so I can kind of see that point of view, but then I can also see what you say as well, that there's got to be a safety element as well, because I might think my car's immaculate and I might just look after it and whatever, but the brakes might be shocking, there might be structural damage or something like that, and I go out and I have a bump and I crash and I could injure myself or I could injure somebody else just because I haven't had it properly checked over. So maybe they do, like you say, they do an MOT which is relatable to the era, so they can sort of go, okay, like you say, the emissions on your Jag are going to be horrendous compared to a brand new Ford Fiesta, aren't they? So there must be something to go, okay, bearing in mind that this is a Jag, it's a 800 litre engine or whatever. And it's going to be, emissions are going to be higher, but it's not going to be used as often. So there'll be some leniency in the MOT. Maybe it's a bit cheap. Maybe it's a bit cheaper. I don't know. And just certain things, you don't have to worry about airbag lights and that kind of thing. And they just sort of, I think that's what they probably should do. I
think so, because especially with things like emissions, because classic cars throughout the whole of the country, they only actually contribute to 0.2% of the total emissions given by cars. 0.2% is absolutely not even readable. It's not. It's just not noticeable at all, mate. You probably get more given. You get more CO2s given by probably log burners than what you do by classic cars.
Yeah, and then you got methane,
and everyone says they're lovely, aren't they?
So
yeah.
This is it.
That's a big one, that is, Aid.
Yeah. Well, there's the name of the podcast for next for this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a good. I think I'd be happy with the 30-year, but I would just say somebody with some common sense and half a brain would just say, right, okay, we'll do a tailored MOT for you. And I think it's nice to have a bit of a rule, and it's something that you go, shit, I've got to make sure my car's safe enough to be out on the road. I'm going to get it checked over because I have to get it checked over, and there'll be nothing worse than having an accident or something like that, and then they come back and go,
no, that's right. Even from the buyer's point of view, if you went to look at a car and they said, well, it's all done, it's never been an accident, blah, blah, we can check all them things. And I say, when was the last time you MOT'd it? Oh, I don't bother anymore. You're going to think, right, so how do I know? Now what do I do? Do I get someone, a mechanic, the RAC or the AA, I pay for a private inspection on the car? Because there's no history of what it might have fouled on or how. If you haven't bothered to MOT it, I don't know it's been looked after properly in service or anything.
Don't they? And if it's sitting in a garage, they're still going to rot away, even if it's just sitting there. So
that's right, of course,
just having that check is, I think it would be a very, very good idea.
Yeah,
I think so. Okay. Yeah.
So shall we put it to shall we get in touch with the government then? Shall we, the Ministry of Transport, and tell them?
I think
we ought to do something, mate. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we definitely need to do something on this one.
Okay. Do you want to do that for your homework then, Darren? Do you want to get in touch with the Ministry of Transport and get it all sorted?
Well, I was going to get in touch with my RT man on that side because he's a little bit quicker on.
For God's sake! Bloody hell, he just shirks any responsibility, doesn't he? I don't think you've ever done any homework on this channel. It's shameful. He just wriggles out of everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was quite good. I'll give you a little jingle, Darren, when I'm putting it all together, and I'll put it out there. I'll give you a little jingle.
Very nice. Yeah.
I could be cruel, but I think I'll try and find a nice one if I can.
You're going to find a nice one?
Yeah, I will do. I'll try.
Something. Yeah, or is it going to be just something totally ridiculous? I might actually have a little think on that one. Actually, a little jingle that I think I like as well.
I'll tell you what. I'll put one in for this week. I'll put one in for this week, and then you can have a think and you can have a listen, and then you can tell me if you like it or not.
I like the theme of Captain Pugwash.
Oh, God. You can't do things like that because it's copywritten, isn't it? I can't just go and get stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah, can't pinch things like that.
Oh, that's not very good.
I have to get free jingles and stuff like that. Or you'll have to buy a little xylophone and you can make your own.
You've got jingle machine, haven't you?
Oh yeah, where have I got that? Well, it's like a sound effect machine, isn't it? Yeah, where have I put that?
What's that? Is that one of those triangles you used to play in music? That's
it. Yeah, but in the keyring.
Yeah.
Oh, love that.
Well, you'd always play the demo, wouldn't you? It would always be the demo. You know, it would always be something like that. There we go. I found it, gents. I found it. Right, how do I turn this thing on? I don't know. Is there an on button? I don't know. Okay. What have we got? What? That was a siren. So, what about a drum roll?
That sounds like mine.
I don't know. I think we need to find something a bit better
What
than that,
was
don't we?
that?
Yeah. Where's the fart one? There's a fart one here somewhere.
It's like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was.
What films do you watch?
Well, you've seen that when he turns that big saw on, haven't you? That's what that sounded like. It like sounded like, mate.
Yeah, okay. Right, enough of that nonsense. Yeah, I'll find you a jingle. I'll find you a better one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at those. So
we'll leave that till next week. See what you come
up
with.
What do you mean what I... Oh, yeah, what I come with. Yeah, I'll do some more bloody homework. It's fine. Right.
Thank you.
Do sodding work on this channel.
Well, I was very
No, you haven't. You spoke to me on Sunday. We were at the show. You remember I drove us there?
Yeah,
Do you remember that now?
Oh, yeah. I did have 3 nights on the Guinness beforehand. In a Guinness glass.
Oh, here we
Yes.
go. Here we go. That's where that's it. I saw where that was going. But no, it was a good show. I enjoyed that show, and I've been putting some bits and bobs on Instagram over the last couple of days. I don't know if either of you could be asked to have a look, but yeah, have you?
Hey, I'd like to, mate.
You like to, have you done?
Yes, I saw the video. I saw the video.
Thank you.
Yes, I thought it was very good. I liked it.
I'm going to do one for every day this week.
Yeah, I was watching the talk. Go around the bed.
Yeah.
If you've got any pictures, chaps, if you took any, send them across, will you? And I could put them on there as well. And I'm trying to put song lyrics into every one this week. I don't know if you've seen, so hopefully songs get stuck in people's head for the day.
Yeah.
That was my ploy. Yeah, you see what I've done there?
Yeah.
So so the first one was just another Manta Monday. So it was based on the Bangles, just another Manic Monday.
Yeah.
And today, what did I do today? We are the Talbots, as in we are the robots. You what? Sorry. Talbot Tuesday. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I did look.
Yeah. You did look, or you're looking now?
No, I'm not looking now. No, I've got a car magazine in front of me now, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't fib.
I'm looking now, eh?
Yeah, I thought you might. I'll have to come up with something for Wednesday. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Wally Car Wednesday. I don't know. I'll do something. Just put some pictures on. I think people like to see some of the shows we've been in. The little video clips are quite cool, and just to give people a flavour of the stuff that we've seen.
That was good.
Talbot Tuesday.
Yeah,
I like it.
We got anything? We got any shows planned soon? Other than no, I don't think we have we? I don't think we've really.
No, we haven't. There's I know there's a couple of good meets coming up at Donington. I'll have to have a look and see whether it's. I'm sure it is in April. I'm sure there's one at the beginning of April and one at the end. And it's like retro racing and tourers and all sorts of things. You were
talking about the Mustangs versus the Minis, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah, then you've got the sort of and then you'd have like the ones that are just in the classes on their own. Like you could have all the sort of BMWs going around or whatever it's going to be. You know, with the touring cars. But they normally battle it out all mixed amongst themselves. When there's normally it's normally a 3-day event. And they tend to have sort of around about 7 or 8 races each day. It goes right on until about 5:30 normally, the last race normally is. So, there's quite a few on there. I haven't got anything in there with this one I'm looking at now. But I'll have to go through and see if we want to get something booked in for one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like it in Donington as well because it's brilliant for spectating. You can just walk anywhere you like around the track and keep on going around for different areas, you know. It's really is I like it there. Okay. Easy to get to, nice run to go down.
Yeah.
Or go across.
Well, I'm going to give you a promotion, Darren. I'm going to promote you to events manager.
Events manager and topic finder.
With tea, yeah. But we'll go with a.
Yeah, we won't go any further with that one tonight.
I was just thinking you could be events manager, so that you can kind of keep an eye out for some of the shows, and that I quite like the sound. Yeah, you can sort of coordinate that. I'll be IT man, and we just need to give you a job now, Andy. We need to. Yeah.
Need to find me a job. Yeah. I can't look at shows because we're going to Vauxhall shows, won't we? Yeah, you're not keen on that, are you?
Do you know what? I do moan about Vauxhall. Actually, I kind of appreciate any sort of car from the 80s or 90s, and I had a Manta. I might have mentioned that, but yeah, I had a Manta. So
you had a what, mate?
You need to put one on Instagram, Aid, so we can all see it.
I'll put my Manta on Instagram, and then people can see which one I had.
You said you were going to do that.
Yeah, I do need to do that. So yeah, I'll put that on there. But yeah, I do like the old Vauxhalls. There was the Cavalier GSI. I did like the 4x4 2000 turbo. I thought that would have been a pretty cool car. That would have been a nice car.
Proper job.
I like the old Astra Mark 1 GTE. That was a good looking car. And the Escoda and that kind of era.
So
yeah.
So what's your job going to be then, mate? For Andrew to do?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what jobs don't we want to do? And we give it to him, couldn't we?
Yeah, give me the jobs you don't want to do. Yeah. I'm happy to take jobs you don't want to do.
Okay.
IT.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there's one. You could always. What about this one then? You could always be bothered to have a look at what you're putting on Instagram before the podcast on a Monday. How's that?
Yeah.
I can watch.
You can always be bothered to look at what he's put on Instagram. Because he didn't put anything. He didn't look, did he? He didn't look and see the photos you put on.
Yeah. So maybe we could give you the responsibility of Instagram. We could assign you Instagram for a week, a trial, just to trust you. I mean, don't put any of those dodgy photos on there, Andy. Just obviously, which is we don't want to get struck off for that kind of thing. But you would. I'd
have to be careful there, wouldn't I?
Absolutely.
Double check what I'm putting on.
Yeah. Yeah, and just some of that foul language that we were subjected to when we go to car shows. You can't put things like that on the Instagram, Andy. You've got to rein it in a bit, if I'm honest. You could be. We need a better title than that. Was it something like media manager or something like that? Communications manager.
Yeah, well,
that sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
those little things on your desk.
I'll take that one. Yeah. Little badge, communication manager. Yeah.
So congratulations, gentlemen. We've got a communications manager. We've got an IT coordinator. I think I'll be a coordinator. That sounds good. And what did we say you was, Darren? You were.
Yeah. Careful, you said you can't swear.
It was beginning with T. I can't remember. What was it? What did I say you were going to be? Bloody hell! I can't remember something. Yeah.
Promoted and demoted all in the same hour.
What did I say you were going to be?
Oh, right.
Bloody hell. Bloody useless. Oh, well, I'll play this back and I'll go, for God's sake. But yeah, you've been promoted, whatever it was anyway. Welcome. I'll give you a performance review in 6 months' time.
Yeah. Is it money? Do you get more money if you're doing really well, or do you get having pay rises and stuff like that?
We can't give you the pay rise that we'd like to, but we probably could give you an additional day's holiday. And maybe
sound like my old boss, Aid.
Yeah, and maybe one less wedgie a year.
Yeah,
just something like that. Yeah, our hands are tied. There's a budget that's been allocated for pay rises, and unfortunately, you haven't breached that level. But we're still very happy with your work, Andy. Very, very pleased with your work, and maybe next year we might be able to put you forward for a pay rise. But
So if I go, is everything going to carry on the same, or will you be like, don't go?
This is that what I have to say, that we really value your contribution to the channel, and you're an asset to the team. But at the same time, I've already got somebody else lined up. So if you do want to go, then obviously you do what's best for your career. What you think's best for you.
Asked for a pay rise and not been given it, Aid.
Well, Andrew, I think he's reading this last interview.
I was always told if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I'll probably go a bit quiet at this point.
Yeah.
But no, gentlemen, you have worked very hard this year. Obviously not as hard as me. But I will put you forward for a pay rise. I don't know how you can get much higher than 0 at the moment. But what we can do, maybe I'll chuck in a free sticker or something like that, or I'll buy you a coffee at a car show. Maybe that. Doing it.
Yeah.
Cards where you accrue, so when you do something good.
You're breaking up a bit there, Aid.
Oh,
yeah, you're breaking up a bit
now. Are you being nasty, Darren, or are you being genuine?
Genuine,
yeah.
Not an echo, it's just buzzing and crackling.
Yeah.
Yes, your voice is coming through.
Right, well, I'll unplug the headphones for a second and see if that makes any difference. Is that any better? Oh, okay. Headphones are playing up a bit then. Never mind.
Yeah.
No.
I've got another set. But if we had somebody in purchasing, then we could have got another set of earphones. But we haven't got anybody in that department, so.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of role descriptions in this thing for a 3-man podcast, isn't there?
Yeah, I think we need to take on multiple jobs. Like they were saying in the Houses of Parliament this year. No, we should be eating turnips, and taking on multiple jobs. So yeah, I might have to give you extra work. You sounded so enthusiastic there, Andy.
Yeah.
No, he bloody doesn't, does he?
Give him up to now, so you've got no chance.
No, I didn't know. I watched the Ferguson thing the day after he said you've not done your homework. I just forgot about it.
No, you don't.
No, you're allowed to have.
A deadline is a bloody deadline. You don't go, I've got...
You ask your daughter tomorrow. If you haven't done it today, they might give you another day to put it in.
Oh, sorry. Can I do it tomorrow? Oh, you pissing can't.
No, I'm talking about coursework, Aid. You're allowed extra time if you haven't done it on time. You're allowed extra days.
No discipline.
Bloody
hell. Fire. Bloody extensions. Deadlines are deadlines. Time is money, and money is time, and other cliches and things that they say. Yeah.
You're sounding like my old boss now, Aid. Yeah.
Yeah.
My first boss was, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Before this costs me any more money in pay rises, I think we're gonna bring it to a close tonight, gents. Yeah, it was good.
Okay,
it was
really good chat.
Complete nonsense, but yeah, it was a good chat. Yeah, that's it.
That's what we do for an Aid.
Yeah, if anybody wants to like and subscribe, our main channel really is Instagram, isn't it, chaps? Just sort of reaching out to people and just showing what we've done and bits and bobs. Yeah. But you can find us on the podcast is on Spotify and YouTube. So have a good listen, and if you click like and subscribe, we'll like you back. I think we'll bring it to a close. We'll meet up. Yeah, we'll be back to normal time because this is going to get released on the Wednesday now, isn't it? And we normally release on the Tuesday. I think we'll be back to normal next week, and normal service resumed. And it just leaves for me to say thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a lovely week. And we'll catch up next week.
Yes, thank you, matey.
Yeah.
All right then, chaps.
Yeah.
Take care now.
Stuff. See you next week.
Cheers.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care, both of you.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.